All right, guys, I want you to listen up because the trade wars are about to begin. And I know that sounds dramatic, probably is just a little bit, but I really want you guys to pay attention to what I'm going to say here because this is ultimately something that's going to affect you and your wallet. Now, one of the things that I did not like about Donald Trump back during the campaign, I talked about it on some of the podcasts, was his trade policy. It is in no way, shape, or form a free market, free trade capitalist policy. In fact, if you line it up, it has far more in common with the left-leaning socialist trade policies that Bernie Sanders wanted to implement than any policy ever pushed by any conservative right-wing Republican, period. It's just not a free market, free trade, and certainly not a capitalist policy. It wants the government to step in and tax or tariff imported goods, and by doing so, it partially controls what goods companies can get a hold of, and by extension, what goods and products you can get a hold of. Now, I understand the ideology behind saving American jobs, but it never really works out that way. All it ends up doing is driving up prices for you. Now, the reason I'm talking about this right now is because as of yesterday, April 25th, 2017, Donald Trump has started to implement some of these policies. Now, he didn't start with China or India or Mexico like he talked about in the campaign. He's, for some reason, decided to start with Canada. Now, I don't know why. I don't know if this is political or this is just where he's decided to start with this whole new trade policy. But what he's decided to do is tax or tariff up to 24% on imported Canadian lumber. Now, we get a lot of our lumber from Canada. That's going to be a big hit to lumber coming into this country. And right after that, he sent out a tweet talking about how Canada is really hurting our businesses in Wisconsin and other places by their imported dairy products, and we cannot stand for that. Something must be done, implying that the next thing he's going to go after is dairy imports from Canada. Now, understand what's going to happen here. There's really only one of two options. Option A, okay, is the stuff continues to be imported, and that up to 24% tax or tariff, okay, is not going to be eaten by the person who manufactured the lumber or distributed the lumber or your local Home Depot who sells the lumber. No, they're going to pass that cost on to you. Option B, they simply don't import any more of the Canadian lumber. And what happens? Well, the American market has to offset that. And because the American market is smaller and it has to offset this large import that had been coming in that we've all relied on as consumers, well, prices for American lumber go up. So what it means ultimately is if you're building a house or a shed or even a desk, it's going to cost you more money because the materials are going to be more expensive, period. That's what happens. That's how it comes back to affect you and your wallet. And keep in mind, I understand the ideology about saving American jobs, but that just isn't a thing that happens. We as a country have made a decision a long time ago. We will rely on free market, free trade capitalism. We made that decision, and we understand that sometimes that costs jobs here. But ultimately, we find other jobs for those people, and we get our goods and products and services cheaper and more easily in exchange for that trade-off. That's what free trade is about. That's what the free market is about. That's ultimately what capitalism is about. This is a bad policy. Now, I don't know if it stops here. Maybe he's just got something against Canada. I don't know. But if this spreads, you will begin to feel it, period. And that's a bad thing. Now, I don't know what we can do about this. I mean, I guess you can contact your congressmen, your senators. Maybe you can send old Don a tweet. We know he loves his social media. But all I do know at this point is that this is going to come back to bite us all in the ass.